The night sky sparkled with stars above the mountains. 12-year-old Jin set up his telescope on the grassy hill, away from the glow of the campsite lights. His class from Seoul was on a 3-day trip to learn about nature and space. Jin loved the stars more than anything. "Don't go too far, Jin." Teacher Lee called from the campfire, where the other students roasted sweet potatoes and told ghost stories. "I won't. I just need to see the stars better." Jin waved back. He carried his backpack with his star map, notebook, and a small box with his lunch for tomorrow. Jin found a perfect spot on top of the small hill. No trees blocked his view. He could see millions of stars, much more than in the city. He set up his telescope, the one his older brother Tai had given him for his birthday last month. "Wow," Jin whispered as he looked through the lens. He saw the rings of Saturn so clearly. He wrote in his notebook and checked his star map. He wanted to find Mars next. A strange light moved across the sky. Jin thought it was a shooting star at first, but it was too slow, and it changed direction. It grew bigger and brighter. Jin rubbed his eyes. Was this real? He looked through his telescope again. The light became a silver object, shaped like an egg, but bigger than a bus. It made no sound as it hovered above the trees nearby. Jin's heart beat fast. He was not scared. He was excited. Real aliens. He had always believed they existed. Jin picked up his phone to take a picture, but it wouldn't turn on. Strange. He had charged it fully before the trip. He decided to look at the object through his telescope one more time. A beam of blue light shot down from the silver egg. It touched the ground about 50 meters from where Jin stood. The light moved slowly across the grass, like it was searching for something. Jin knew he should run back to camp and tell Teacher Lee, but his feet wouldn't move. The blue light was so beautiful. It reminded him of the ocean on a sunny day. Before he could think more, the light found him. Jin felt no pain as the blue beam lifted him off the ground. He floated up, his arms and legs light as feathers. His notebook and star map fell to the grass below. His last thought before everything went dark was that Todd would never believe this. "Jin, Jin, where are you?" Teacher Lee's voice echoed through the forest. Morning light filtered through the trees. It had been 10 hours since anyone had seen Jin. 20 students and 5 adults spread out through the woods. They had been searching since midnight when they realized Jin hadn't returned to his tent. "I found something." Minna, Jin's classmate, called out. She stood on the hill where Jin had gone to stargaze. Teacher Lee ran up the hill, followed by the other searchers. Jin's telescope lay on its side in the grass. His notebook was open, the pages flipping in the light breeze. His backpack sat untouched. "Look at this," said Park, another teacher. He pointed to a small metallic object on the ground. It was like nothing they had ever seen, a silver disc the size of a coin, but it glowed with a faint blue light. When Park tried to touch it, his fingers passed right through it, like it wasn't fully solid. Teacher Lee called the police. Within hours, government officials arrived. The camping trip ended early. The students went home with worried parents. Armed soldiers roped off the area around Jin's telescope. 3 days later, every screen on Earth, televisions, phones, computers, flickered and showed the same message. It came from a race called the Mori. They spoke perfect Korean, English, Chinese, and every human language at once. "Greetings, Earth. We have added your biological data to our collection. Thank you for specimen J4721. Our research proceeds as planned." A fuzzy image appeared on the screens. Jin, floating in a clear tank, eyes closed, not breathing. The Mori had no idea what they had just started. Ambassador Park stood tall in the meeting room. He had been a diplomat for 20 years, but this was different. This time, he represented all of Earth. The room was inside a space station built quickly after the Mori made contact. The station floated between Earth and the Moon. It had taken humans only 6 months to build it. Fear and anger made people work fast. Across the table sat 3 Mori. They looked almost human, but their skin shone like metal. Their eyes were too large, with no white parts, just purple circles. They did not blink. "We are here to discuss the return of Jinn," Ambassador Park said. His voice was calm, but his hands shook under the table. The middle Mori tilted its head. "Specimen J4721. We do not understand." The specimen was processed according to standard protocol. Beside Park, Dr. Kim, Jin's mother, pressed her lips together. The government had asked her to come. They thought the Mori might understand better if they met Jin's family. Jin is not a specimen. He is a child. A human child with a family who loves him, Park explained. His return is non-negotiable. The Mori looked at each other. Their faces showed no emotion. "Your request is impossible," the Mori on the left said. "The specimen has been dissected for study. We have learned much about your species' inner workings." Dr. Kim gasped. General Yoon, who sat on Park's other side, put his hand on his gun. "Stay calm," Park whispered to them. He turned back to the Mori. "You killed him. For study." "Killed is not the correct term," the Mori said. "We collected biological data. This is our purpose. We have done this on 1,417 planets. Your reaction is unusual." Park tried again. "Each human life is sacred to us. Taking a life without permission is our greatest crime." The Mori seemed confused. "You have billions of specimens. We took only one. The data benefits our galactic library." "His name was Jin," Dr. Kim said suddenly. Her voice broke. "He loved stars. He wanted to be an astronomer. He was my son." The Mori stared at her with their purple eyes. "We understand your distress is genuine," the middle Mori said finally. "As compensation, we offer equivalent biological matter." A container appeared on the table. Inside was a gray paste. "This contains the processed remains of specimen J4721, the Mori explained. "You may use it for your morning rituals." Dr. Kim covered her mouth with her hands. General Yoon stood up, his face red with anger. "This meeting is over," Park said, his diplomatic mask finally breaking. "Return to your ship." As the Mori left, the one on the right turned back. "We are confused by your response. Most species understand the honor of contributing to our knowledge." After the aliens left, Park looked out the window at Earth below. Blue, green, and beautiful. Home to 8 billion humans who would soon learn what had happened here today. "What do we do now?" Dr. Kim asked, tears on her face. General Yoon picked up the container with Jin's remains. His knuckles were white. "Now we prepare." Park nodded. "They don't understand what they've done. They don't understand humans at all." On the trip back to Earth, Park wrote his report for the world's leaders. He ended it with one sentence. "The Mori have made a mistake that will change the universe forever." News channels worldwide soon carried the same headline: "Aliens kill Earth child. OFFE or no remorse." The people of Earth would not forget. They would not forgive. And they would make sure the Mori, and every other species in the galaxy, learned exactly what happens when you harm a human child. Tai sat in his new lab at the Global Defense Initiative headquarters. Jin's star map hung on the wall. It was the only personal item Tai allowed himself. Everything else was work, computers, tools, and strange metal pieces. 1 year had passed since the Mori had killed his little brother. 1 year since the world changed forever. Tai looked at the small silver disc they had found near Jin's telescope. Scientists now knew it was some kind of Mori technology, maybe part of their scanning equipment. Tai had studied it day and night. He was close to understanding how it worked. "Any progress?" asked Song, his research partner. Song handed Tai a cup of coffee. "Maybe," Ta said. "I think this metal responds to thought. The Mori might use their minds to control their ships." Song nodded. "That matches what we found in their messages. They think they're so advanced, but we're catching up fast." Outside the lab window, a massive ship was being built. It would be Earth's first star cruiser. 10 more like it were under construction around the world. Humans had never worked together like this before. On the main screen, news played silently. The President of the United World Council was speaking. Behind her stood military leaders from many countries. Old enemies now worked as one. The death of one child had united humanity in a way nothing else could. Tay's phone rang. It was his mother, Dr. Kim. "Have you eaten today?" she asked. She always asked this now. "Yes, Mom." Song brought food. "Good. I just wanted to tell you Jin's memorial reached 1 billion visitors online today." Tay closed his eyes. Jin's face was on posters, shirts, and screens everywhere. The smiling boy had become Earth's symbol. "Remember Jin" was the slogan of the new world. After the call, Tay went back to work. The silver disc started to glow when he focused his anger on it. This was the key. Human emotion was powerful, maybe more powerful than the Mori knew. Across Earth, similar work continued. Farmers grew extra food for the coming war. Factory workers built new machines day and night. Children studied space and science with fierce determination. The Mori sent more messages. They still didn't understand why humans were upset. They offered to take no more specimens from Earth if humans would share their biological data willingly. They said Earth should be honored to join their research database. Each message made people work harder. 500 days after Jin disappeared, the Mori sent another message. "Your technological advancement is unexpected. We have updated your species classification. Please cease military preparations, as your level does not permit space warfare under Galactic Council rules." The message played on screens worldwide. In a small town square, people gathered to watch. An old woman spat on the ground. "They still don't get it," she said to the crowd. "They think this is about rules." A young soldier nodded. "They think we're building ships to follow their rules. We're building ships to change them." In his lab, Ta finally made the breakthrough. The silver disc now powered a small engine. This engine didn't use fuel, it used emotion. Anger, grief, love. These human feelings created energy the Mori technology could not match. Ta named it the Jin Drive. When connected to the first star cruiser, it would take humans beyond Earth faster than any Mori ship. That night, looking at Jin's star map, Ta made a promise. "We're coming," he whispered to the stars. "And the universe will never be the same." 5 years passed since Jin's death. Earth had changed more in these 5 years than in the 100 years before. Ta stood on the launch platform, watching workers make final checks on the ship Remembrance. It was huge, 300 meters long with smooth, dark metal sides. No windows broke its perfect shape. The ship didn't need them. "Systems check complete." Song's voice came through Ta's earpiece. "Jin Drive is stable." The Jin Drive was Ta's greatest work. It used human emotions as fuel. Grief, anger, hope. These feelings powered the engine beyond what normal fuel could do. Every crew member wore a small headband that connected their emotions to the drive. The stronger they felt, the faster the ship could go. "Launch in 30 minutes, the computer announced. "All crew to stations." Captain Kim walked up to Ta. She wore the black uniform of the Earth Defense Force. A small pin with Jin's face shone on her collar. All EDF members wore them. "Will it work?" she asked Ta. "Will we really travel faster than light?" Ta nodded. "The tests were perfect. Our ship will move through space faster than any Mori vessel." They looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, the Mori continued their work, collecting specimens from other worlds. They still sent messages to Earth sometimes. They still didn't understand why humans were so angry. Captain Kim checked her watch. "Time to board. Your mother sent you something." She handed Tai a small package. Inside was Jin's telescope, now made into a compass. Dr. Kim had attached a note. "To help you find your way home." Tai felt his eyes water. This would make the Jin Drive even stronger. Aboard the Remembrance, 50 crew members prepared for launch. They were the best pilots, scientists, and soldiers from around the world. They had trained for 3 years for this mission. The ship's bridge was simple but powerful. Captain Kim sat in the command chair. Tai and Song worked at the engine controls. Young sat at weapons. Park handled communications. Jin drive activating, Ta said. The ship hummed as the crew's emotions flowed into the engine. On screens around the world, people watched the first human ship ready for space travel beyond the solar system. Children held Jin dolls. Adults wore Jin shirts. Everyone remembered the boy who changed everything. Launch in 10 seconds, the computer said. Captain Kim touched the Jin pin on her collar. For Jin, she said. For Jin, the crew answered. The remembrance rose from Earth without fire or smoke. The Jin drive lifted it silently, like a thought moving through air. As the ship passed the moon, Tai activated the main drive. The ship's inside glowed blue, the same blue as the Mori beam that had taken Jin. Light speed in 3, 2, 1, Ta said. The stars stretched into lines. Earth vanished behind them. The remembrance moved faster than any human-made object ever had. In just hours, they would reach the Mori research outpost near Saturn. The Mori didn't know they were coming. They didn't know humans had learned to use emotion as power. They didn't know what was waiting for them. On his screen, Ta saw a message from Earth. It was simple. Make them remember Jin. The crew of the Remembrance felt their emotions grow stronger. The ship moved even faster. The Mori were about to learn a hard lesson about humans. You don't take our children. You don't treat us like specimens. And you never, ever underestimate how far we will go for justice. The Mori outpost hung in space near Saturn's rings. It looked like a silver snowflake, with 6 arms stretching from a round center. Lights blinked along its surface. The Mori had built it 10 years ago to study the solar system. They never expected visitors. Outpost in sight, Young said from the weapons station of the Remembrance. No signs they spotted us. Captain Kim nodded. The Jin drive had worked better than anyone hoped. They had traveled faster than light and arrived without being detected. All crew, battle stations, she ordered. Remember your training. The 50 humans on board moved with calm purpose. They had practiced this moment thousands of times. Each person knew exactly what to do. Weapons ready, Young said. Waiting for your command. Captain Kim looked at the images of the Mori outpost. Somewhere inside, aliens worked, studying their specimens from across the galaxy. Did they have other children like Jin in there? Were they cutting them open, studying them like objects? The thought made the Jin drive pulse brighter. Target their communications first, Kim ordered. Then power systems. No full destruction. We need their data. Young pressed the firing control. Beams of blue light, the same color as the beam that had taken Jin, shot from the Remembrance. They hit the Mori outpost with perfect accuracy. The outpost's lights flickered and went dark. Direct hit, Young reported. Their communications are down. Ta monitored the Jin drive. Engine stable. We have enough power for the next phase. Captain Kim stood. Boarding teams, prepare to move. 20 soldiers in black spacesuits gathered in the launch bay. They carried weapons designed to stun, not kill. Earth wanted justice, not revenge. The boarding pods shot across space toward the crippled outpost. Inside each pod, soldiers touched their Jin pins for luck. On the bridge, Ta watched the feeds from the soldiers' helmets. The inside of the Mori outpost was white and clean. Strange machines lined the walls. The Mori themselves appeared confused. Tall and metallic-skinned, they moved slowly, clearly shocked that anyone had attacked them. Intruders impossible, one Mori said in its flat voice. Primitive species cannot achieve space travel of this level. A soldier stunned the alien with a pulse weapon. This primitive just did, she said. Room by room, the humans took control of the outpost. They found labs with samples from dozens of planets. They found databanks full of information about countless species. In one room, they found tanks with floating creatures. Some looked like animals, some like plants, some like nothing Earth had ever seen. All were labeled as specimens. Captain Kim walked the halls of the captured outpost 2 hours later. The Mori, now prisoners, sat in a large room under guard. "Have you found their main database?" she asked Park. He nodded. "We're downloading everything now. Star maps, technology, information about all the species they've studied. And," he paused, "information about their homeworld." Kim's eyes narrowed. "Good. The next step begins." She approached the highest-ranking Mori. The alien showed no fear, only confusion. "Why have you attacked us?" it asked. "This violates all Galactic Council protocols." Kim knelt to look the seated alien in the eyes. "You took a human child. You killed him. You called him a specimen." The Mori tilted its head. One specimen caused this response. Inefficient. Illogical. Kim stood. "That's what you don't understand. That's why you will lose." She touched her Jinn pin. "Every human feels what happened to Jinn. Every human would do what we're doing." She turned to her crew. "Contact Earth. Tell them the first strike was successful." Across space, the message traveled. Remembrance to Earth. Victory. The universe now knows humans fight back. Ambassador Park had never expected to stand in the Galactic Council chamber. 6 months ago, humans didn't even know it existed. Now he represented Earth before the most powerful beings in the universe. The room was enormous. Creatures of all shapes and sizes sat in rising seats around a central platform. Some looked almost human. Others had no faces at all. All watched Park with curious eyes, tentacles, or sensing organs. "The human will speak," announced the council leader, a tall blue being with 4 arms. Park stepped forward. He wore a simple black suit with a Jinn pin on his lapel. Behind him stood Captain Kim and Tai, also in black. "Thank you for allowing Earth to address the council," Park said. His voice was firm. "We come with a message and a warning." Whispers filled the chamber. Most species here had never heard a human speak. "Your warning is meaningless," said the Mori representative. Its metallic skin gleamed under the lights. "You attacked our research outpost. You took our data. You violated galactic law." Park turned to face the Mori. "You took our child. You violated human law first." The council leader raised a hand for quiet. "Explain your actions, human." "The Mori have collected specimens for 10,000 years without incident. That ended when they took Jinn," Park said. He pressed a button on his wrist. A hologram appeared above the platform. Jinn's smiling face. This child was not a specimen. He was a person with dreams, with family, with a future. Some council members shifted uncomfortably. Others leaned forward with interest. "The Mori have explained their research protocols," said another council member, a creature made of flowing gas. "They take 1 specimen from each new species. This is accepted practice." "Not by us," Captain Kim said sharply. "Never by us." From the back of the chamber came a new voice. "Not by us either." A small green being stood. Its large eyes blinked slowly. "I am from the Navi people. The Mori took our children too. We were too weak to fight back." Another creature rose, tall and plant-like. "The Lumi stand with the humans. The Mori took our seedlings for study. We had no ships to challenge them." More voices joined in from around the chamber. Species that had suffered in silence now spoke up, encouraged by Earth's example. The council leader banged a gavel for order. "This is highly irregular. The collection protocol has been approved for millennia." Ta stepped forward. "Then it's time for change." He activated his own hologram. It showed the Jinn drive engine, pulsing with blue light. "Humans have achieved faster than light travel in just 5 years. We did it powered by something you don't understand. Emotion." The chamber grew quiet. "We offer alliance to any species harmed by the Mori," Park said. "Earth will share our technology, our protection. You threaten the balance of the galaxy." The Mori representative shouted. Humans are too primitive, too emotional for such power. Park smiled slightly. Our emotions are our power. You still don't understand. The council leader conferred with others, then spoke. The council rejects Earth's demands. The Mori collection practices will continue. Your unauthorized technology will be confiscated. This matter is closed. As Park, Kim, and Ta turned to leave, the Na'vi representative hurried to them. We accept your alliance, it whispered. Many others will too. That night, on their ship orbiting the council world, Park looked out at the stars. They think they've dismissed us. Captain Kim nodded. They'll learn. Messages were already coming in from dozens of worlds, species reaching out to Earth, ready to stand together against the powerful races that had oppressed them. The war was just beginning. General Han stood on the bridge of the Justice, Earth's newest and largest warship. 3 years had passed since the Galactic Council meeting. 3 years of planning and building. Today, everything would change. All ships report ready, General, said his second-in-command. Han nodded. Around the Justice, 50 Earth ships waited in formation. Behind them hung the blue-green planet of the Na'vi, Earth's first alien allies. Begin the operation, Han ordered. Across 3 star systems, human ships appeared at the same moment. The Jin drive technology had improved. Now ships could jump through space with perfect timing. On Han's main screen, 3 targets glowed red. Mori military bases that protected their shipping lanes. Each base held hundreds of Mori soldiers and dozens of ships. The Mori still don't believe we can hit all 3 at once, Han said. That's their weakness. He touched the Jin pin on his uniform. 8 years had passed since the boy's death. Earth had changed completely in that time. Now humans were about to change the galaxy too. All ships, attack pattern Alpha, Han ordered. Blue beams shot from the Earth fleet. The Mori bases had strong shields, but they hadn't been designed to withstand weapons powered by human emotion. First base shields down, reported the weapons officer. Han watched the screens as Earth soldiers landed on the Mori bases. The fighting was short but fierce. The Mori were confused by human tactics. Humans worked together in ways the Mori couldn't predict. Base 1 secured, came the report. Base 2 secured. The third base took longer. The Mori commander there had prepared better. But the result was the same. All 3 bases under Earth control. The communications officer announced finally. Minimal casualties on both sides. Han allowed himself a small smile. Earth forces had been ordered to avoid killing when possible. This wasn't about revenge. It was about justice. His screen lit up with an incoming message. The Galactic Council leader appeared, looking angry. This is an outrage, the 4-armed alien said. You have attacked Council-protected installations. Cease this primitive aggression immediately. Han kept his voice calm. We gave you a chance for peace. You chose to ignore us. The Council will respond with full force. Your species will regret. Han cut off the transmission. He had heard these threats before. A second message came in. This one showed Ta, now the head of Earth's science fleet. We've analyzed the data from the bases, Ta said. The Mori have been collecting specimens from 17 more worlds without Council approval. Send the evidence to those worlds, Han ordered. Offer them our alliance. Within hours, messages flooded in. More species wanted to join Earth's coalition. Many had suffered under the Mori and other powerful races for centuries. The Lumu offered their healing technology. The Na'vi shared their star maps. The Krell provided their mineral-rich planets for building more ships. By the next day, Earth's alliance had doubled in size. On Earth, Dr. Kim watched the news with tears in her eyes. Jin's photo appeared on the screen as reporters explained the latest victories. Your brother changed everything, she whispered to the image of her lost son. In his quarters on the Justice, General Han studied the map of Mori space. Her home system was heavily defended. It would be the final target. One step closer, he said to himself. one step closer to making them understand. The Mori home system was beautiful. 3 suns circled each other, casting golden light on 7 planets. The 4th planet, Mori Prime, glowed like a silver marble. 10 years had passed since Jin's death. Now 1,000 Earth ships approached the Mori home system. Each ship carried the Jin drive, now 10 times more powerful than the first version. Captain Kim, now Admiral Kim, led the fleet from her flagship, Remembrance. "All ships in position," reported her first officer. Kim nodded. "Send the message." Throughout the Mori system, screens lit up with a human face. Jin, the boy whose death had started everything. "People of Mori," Kim's voice announced. 10 years ago, you took a human child. Today, we have come for justice." On Mori Prime, panic spread. The Mori had never been attacked in their home system. Their leaders rushed to activate planetary shields. "Mori defense fleet approaching," said Young from the weapons station. 200 ships. Kim wasn't worried. The Mori ships were larger but slower. They still didn't understand what they were facing. "All ships, defend but don't destroy," Kim ordered. "Remember our goal." Ta stood beside her. He now commanded the science division. In his hand, he held a small device, the result of 10 years of work. "Are you sure this will work?" Kim asked him quietly. Ta nodded. "It will shut down their energy grid without harming civilians. No one else needs to die today." As the battle began, the Galactic Council sent an urgent message. The council leader appeared on screen, all 4 arms raised in alarm. "This has gone too far," the alien said. "The council demands an immediate ceasefire. We will negotiate terms." Kim smiled slightly. "Now you want to talk. Now that the powerful are threatened." The council leader looked frustrated. "What do you want? Money? Territory? Name your price to end this madness." "Justice," Kim said simply. "Nothing more, nothing less." She cut off the transmission. The Earth fleet moved closer to Mori Prime. The battle was fierce but short. Earth ships danced around the slower Mori vessels. Their emotion-powered weapons cut through Mori shields like they were paper. "We have a clear path to the planet," Young announced. Kim turned to Ta. "It's time." Tai activated his device, a wave of blue energy, the same color as the beam that had taken Jin, shot from the Remembrance toward Mori Prime. On the planet, every power system went dark. Weapons, shields, communications, all stopped working at once. "It worked," Ta said. "Their entire grid is down." Kim stood. "Send in the landing parties. Find their leaders." Earth soldiers landed on Mori Prime within the hour. They met little resistance. The Mori, without their technology, surrendered quickly. In the Great Hall of the Mori leadership, Kim faced the High Commander, the one who had ordered Jin's death. "What will you do now?" the Mori asked. "Will you destroy us as revenge?" Kim shook her head. "That was never our goal. We want you to understand what you did wrong." She showed the Mori leader images of Earth, of families and children, of schools and parks. "Each life matters to us," she explained. "Each child is precious. You will learn this lesson, as will every species in the galaxy." As Kim spoke, a message came in from Earth. The world president's face appeared on screen. "The Galactic Council has surrendered," the president said. "They're ready to accept our terms." Kim looked at the defeated Mori leader. "Today, the universe learns a new way. Today, justice begins." 1 year after the Mori surrender, Ta stood on the hill where Jin had disappeared 11 years ago. The grass was soft under his feet. Stars filled the night sky. Much had changed since that night when a young boy with a telescope had looked up at the stars. "I thought I'd find you here," said a voice behind him. Ta turned to see his mother, Dr. Kim. She looked older now, her hair streaked with gray, but her eyes were bright. "The memorial opens tomorrow," she said. "Are you ready?" Ta nodded. In the valley below, a large building shaped like a telescope stood ready. The Jin Memorial would teach future generations about the boy who changed the universe. Ambassador Park sent a message, Dr. Kim said. 57 worlds have built their own memorials to Jin. His story is being taught to children across the galaxy. Ta smiled. Jin would have liked that, being famous among the stars he had loved so much. Above them, the night sky looked different now. Earth ships moved between the stars. The Jin Drive had opened the galaxy to humans, and humans had changed everything. The old Galactic Council was gone. In its place stood the new Galactic Federation, where all species had equal voice, no matter their technology level. Earth had insisted on that. The Mori still existed, but they had changed too. No more specimen collection. No more treating other beings as objects. They were learning, slowly, what humans had always known, that each life had value. Captain Kim, Admiral Kim, is arriving tomorrow for the ceremony, Dr. Kim said. And General Han. All the old crew from the Remembrance. Tased phone beeped. A message from Park appeared. Urgent news. Call me. When Tai called, Park's face looked excited. The Zell have contacted us, he said. They're the oldest species in the galaxy. They've been watching us, and they're impressed. Impressed by what? Tai asked. By how we won without destroying, Park said. By how we changed the galaxy without becoming like those we fought. They want to meet with Earth leaders next month. After the call ended, Ta looked back at the stars. So many new friends out there now. So many worlds to explore. Jin would have loved this, Dr. Kim said softly. Ta nodded. He's part of it all. The Jin Drive powers every ship. His name is known on every world. A shooting star crossed the sky, bright and fast. Ta smiled, remembering how Jin had always made wishes on them. The memorial would open tomorrow. Children would come to learn about the boy who loved stars. They would learn how his death united Earth, how it led humans to the stars, how it changed the rules of the galaxy. No child, human or alien, would ever be treated as a specimen again. That was Jin's legacy. As night deepened, mother and son stood together on the hill, watching the stars. The same stars Jin had watched with his telescope. In the distance, a ship rose silently into the sky, its Jin Drive glowing blue against the darkness. It would visit friendly worlds, carrying Earth's message of respect for all life. The universe had learned a powerful lesson. You can measure a civilization not by its technology, but by how it values its children. And if you harm even one human child, the whole species will rise as one to seek justice. The Mori had learned too late. The rest of the galaxy had learned in time. And somewhere among the stars, Tai liked to think, Jin was smiling.